What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the DubsIn4 podcast. This is week 4. Today is August 12th, 2018, and today we are going to be talking about my picks for next year's awards. Awards being, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, that sort of thing. Obviously, really early. Season has not started yet. Season won't start for another couple months, but I just thought it'd be fun to kind of go over my predictions for next year's award races. We're kind of just sitting in the middle of the summer. Nothing's really going on in the NBA, so we're just going to talk about some sort of generic topics. But anyway, yeah, we're just going to get right into it. I'm going to be going over my my 3 finalists for each pick, and then I'll tell you who I think is actually going to win the award. So we're just going to start with the big one, which is MVP, Most Valuable Player. This one was kind of tough for me to pick, honestly. Not as tough as some of the other ones, though. You'll see what I think is going to happen. Anyway, my 3 finalists. First up, I have LeBron James. LeBron's been a finalist, pretty much every single year. It makes sense for him to be here. LeBron's an amazing player. He's going to have a huge impact on making the Lakers good again. People will recognize it even more this year because the Lakers, they weren't a great team last season, and with LeBron they will be. So with his impact, I think people will see that, and the voters will see that and give him the MVP, put him in the finalists. Next, I have James Harden. Rockets are still going to be good. Harden is the focal point of that team. It makes sense for him to be in the finalists again. He did win last year, but that was his first MVP award, and he's just going to keep going. He's going to keep playing hard, and Rockets are going to be right there in the West. So I think it makes sense to put Harden in the top 3. And then on my last pick, I promise this is not just because this is a Warriors podcast, but I do have Steph Curry in here. It may be surprising for me to not pick Kevin Durant, but I'm going to pick Curry. And this may just be a hunch that I have, but I think he's going to have another really, really strong year. Past 2 years he's been playing with Kevin Durant. Hasn't really been in the MVP conversation too much, even though he's been having great seasons. Obviously, he has to sacrifice some of his points and his assist numbers with Durant on the team. That's natural, and that's fine. He was willing to do that. I think this year, though, he stays healthy is the biggest thing. As long as he can play, pretty much the full year, he should be. Last year he only played like 50 games, so if he's healthy, he'll be in the conversation. I think the presence of Boogie Cousins on the team is going to help Steph more than anybody. He'll be able to get a lot more assist numbers down low. They'll have a big man. I feel like Boogie takes a lot of pressure off Steph. Don't ask me why. This is just random basketball knowledge in my brain. I honestly, this is probably just because I love Curry and I really hope he's in this conversation. But I do have Steph as my 3rd finalist. And as for my pick for who's going to win, I am going to say LeBron James. I'm not picking Curry. I'm not picking Harden. I'm going to pick LeBron. Lakers have a really strong year. Make it in the playoffs probably as 3 or 4 seed. LeBron showing that he means a lot to this young Lakers team. And after a strong showing in the playoffs, taking them to the Western Conference Finals, I believe that this is his year to win another MVP trophy. He hasn't won it for a couple years now, so just to kind of show that 33 years old, he still's got it. So my pick for MVP next season is LeBron. Next, Defensive Player of the Year. My 3 finalists are Rudy Gobert of the Jazz. Gobert won it last season. I think he's just going to have an amazing year. Jazz are going to be better. They'll be improved. Mitchell in his 2nd year. Pretty much the entire team's coming back. Add addition of Grayson Allen through the draft. They still have Ricky Rubio, Gobert in the middle. Jazz will be a much improved team. They'll probably have, the league's best defense, if not the best, then one of the top. Gobert, obviously the anchor of that defense, won the award last year. Makes sense for him to be here again. Next, I have Draymond Green. Warriors have a good regular season. Obviously, I think this year they care a little bit more about the regular season than they did last year. Green kind of ups his ante a little bit, gives us a little more on the defensive end. Last regular season he kind of slept through it, but I think he'll be a little more engaged this year with Boogie Cousins and all that sort of thing. So I do have Draymond Green here. I think he will be a finalist this season. And then next I have Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi was hurt last year, new team, chance to prove he's the top dog in the Eastern Conference on the Raptors. Raptors have a good season. Kawhi Leonard shows that he's one of the best two-way players in the league, puts him as a finalist for this award. And I also predict Kawhi will probably be just outside of the top 3 MVP, probably a top 5 finish for Kawhi, maybe top like 6 or 7, but we'll see. I think he'll have a good year. As for the winner, Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go with Gobert again. I think he wins back-to-back. Jazz have a strong year, Western Conference. It'll be easier to see Gobert's impact on his team than it will for the other two, given that Kawhi plays in the weaker conference and Draymond plays on a team that starts 5 All-Stars. So it'll be easier to see Gobert's impact on his team, which is why I think the voters will pick him as back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year. Next, I have Rookie of the Year. My 3 finalists are number 1 overall pick DeAndre Ayton. Plays for the Suns, he'll have a chance to really show what he can do, showcase his offensive game. He'll get a lot of touches, a lot of minutes. He'll be able to play, and he'll be able to kind of show that all off and show his impact and why he was picked number 1 overall. I think he'll have a really, really strong year offensively, and that'll be enough to put him in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. Next, I have Luka Doncic on the Mavericks. I think he's probably the most complete player in this draft, the most NBA-ready player in the draft, which will give him a leg up against other rookies. He'll be able to come in there and just kind of, it'll be more of a seamless transition from the EuroLeague over here. He's playing against NBA talent, playing against, former NBA players, NBA caliber guys, some of them. So it's kind of like, he's already ready for it, and he was the MVP of the EuroLeague. So it makes sense for him to be here as well. Lastly, I have Kevin Knox here. Knox has looked really, really good in Summer League. He'll have the chance to get a lot of playing time, a lot of touches on the Knicks, especially with Porzingis probably being out for the first half of the season at least. Kevin Knox will probably just be the focal point of their offense because they really don't have anybody else on that team. And so Knox will be able to, really showcase himself on a big stage in New York City. So even after Porzingis comes back, I think Knox has a really strong year and puts him in the conversation. As for my winner for this award, I'm going to go with Luka Doncic. Again, as I mentioned before, seamless transition from the EuroLeague MVP. He'll make the Mavericks better than they were last year. He has a nice player under the rim in DeAndre Jordan. He'll be able to, throw alley-oops up to him, get assists off of that. You have a really nice player around the basket to complement his skill set. He has Dennis Smith Jr. at point guard, feed him the ball a little bit, help move the ball around, better type of offense there. Harrison Barnes can score. So I think Luka just has really good pieces around him in order for him to be successful, and his team will probably be better than the other two. So we'll put him like that. We'll put Doncic as the winner for Rookie of the Year. Next, I have my 6th Man of the Year, and this one, these next 3 are harder to pick than the first 3, for me at least. 6th Man of the Year, Most Improved Player, Coach of the Year. These are tough awards to predict, just because a lot of them are, I don't know, it's just kind of hard to say. But for 6th Man, my 3 finalists, I have Lou Williams. He won last year. I think he comes off the bench for the Clippers. He was in the All-Star conversation last year. Some people thought he got snubbed from an All-Star spot. He was right there. Just coming off the bench, he can average, 20, 22 points per game, something like that. So, he'll do that again. He'll give you that. 20 some odd points off the bench is good enough for a 6th Man of the Year award. So, I'm going to put Mr. Lou Williams right here. Next, I have Marcus Smart. This one might be a little bit of an outside shot, but Marcus Smart will most likely be coming off the bench, assuming the rest of the Celtics are healthy. They're going to be starting, Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford. I don't see Smart starting over Brown and Tatum at this point. So, assuming that the Celtics are healthy, Smart should be eligible for this award. I just think that the Celtics have a really strong year. I peg them as my number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. I think they're going to be a good team, and just because of that, I have Marcus Smart up here. He'll be able to contribute a little bit off the bench, give defense and high energy play. So the fact that he plays a six-man role for a winning team, kind of like Fred VanVleet did last year, I think Marcus Smart will be in that same sort of realm and put himself in the running for Sixth Man of the Year. And then lastly, I have Derrick Rose here. Maybe I just like some Derrick Rose. I don't know. I've always been a Derrick Rose fan. It kind of sucks to see him, go down with all these injuries, and he's never the same player as he used to be. But Derrick Rose back on the Timberwolves. He'll be coming off the bench, and that's just exciting for me. He'll get another year under his former coach Thibodeau with a lot of his former teammates. Timberwolves should be competing in the Western Conference. Hopefully, they'll be able to do well, and I think Derrick Rose kind of returns to form just a little bit. We'll see a little bit of a glimpse of that MVP Derrick Rose in a couple of games. Maybe that's just me wanting to see that, but I do think Derrick Rose has a nice year and good Sixth Man of the Year candidate here. As for the winner, I didn't want to do this, but I am going to pick Lou Williams again. It's really hard to beat a guy who is averaging 20 points off the bench. It doesn't matter if the Clippers aren't a great team, because they won't be. Clippers won't make the playoffs. They won't be good. But I just think that having a 20 point per game scorer off the bench is kind of hard to beat in a Sixth Man of the Year race, because none of these other two guys probably will average around 10 or maybe like 12. They're not going to get close to 20, so it's kind of like, well, how are you going to beat that? Anyway, Lou Williams, I have him winning back-to-back Sixth Man of the Year awards. This next one was probably the hardest for me to pick, and it's most improved player, and it's just hard to pick this one because it's most improved means that they're not really that good right now, but they will be by the end of the year. Nobody really saw Victor Oladipo becoming the player that he is. Nobody really saw any of these most improved awards. Kind of the nature of the award is that you didn't see it coming, right? That's kind of the part of it. So this one will probably just be dead wrong, but we're going to predict it anyways. So my three finalists, number one, I have Brandon Ingram. I think it's kind of a coming out party for him. He'll emerge as that second offensive option behind LeBron on this Lakers team. With Lonzo's improvement, it should help him a little bit get more open shots. Ingram should finally start coming into his own. Kind of having LeBron to help him along obviously will help his development, I think. And just the fact that he's getting older and he looked pretty good last year. I just think that Brandon Ingram will kind of show that he was worth that high draft pick, and playing on a winning team will help his case. Next, I have DeJounte Murray of the Spurs. He does not have Kawhi Leonard. He now has DeMar DeRozan as his backcourt mate. I think this is his year. Last year we kind of I don't know if anybody read Tony Parker's Players Tribune article, but he mentioned how he went to Coach Popovich and said, "Hey, I think you need to be starting DeJounte at point guard," and it was kind of Tony Parker's decision, and then Popovich agreed, and so it's kind of like the Spurs are turning over their keys as their franchise point guard to DeJounte Murray. Tony Parker's no longer on the team, so it's kind of like, okay, this is your job now. I think he plays well. I think the Spurs are going to be better than a lot of people think, just because last year they did what they did without Kawhi Leonard, and now they have DeMar DeRozan instead. So it's kind of like they'll be a good team this year, and I think DeJounte Murray will. I'm not thinking he'll be in the All-Star conversation, but he'll definitely be an above-average point guard. Kind of show off a little bit, and playing with better players will help him do that. And the Spurs being successful will also help him do that. And then moving on to another Murray, I have Jamal Murray of the Denver Nuggets as my other guy. This one I think is a little bit of a reach. Again, this is super hard to predict. I think the Nuggets make the playoffs this year. I think they're a good team. Jamal Murray, I believe this will be his third year. Could be his fourth. I don't really remember. But I think he'll make a huge leap this year. He'll probably play well. Just given the fact that Nuggets I think they're finally ready to start winning. They have all their pieces now. Everybody's gotten a year older. They have Michael Porter Jr., who hopefully will play this year. Paul Millsap won't be hurt. Jokic getting better. Will Barton's back. Everybody's there. So it's kind of like, well, Jamal Murray now, being the point guard for this Nuggets team, that's kind of a hard job because they've got a lot of guys who are trying to score. I know Isaiah Thomas is there. Isaiah's coming off the bench. That may give Jamal less minutes. I don't know what their rotations are going to look like. This is just based off me saying, usually point guards get recognition for when a team makes a leap and gets better. So when the Nuggets become better this year, I think Jamal Murray will kind of be at the forefront of that. Him and Jokic kind of saying, hey, we're here in the West now. We're ready to make the playoffs and go on a little bit of a playoff run. So I do have Jamal Murray here. That's, again, it's a bit of a reach, but again, this one's hard to predict. As for my winner between these three guys, I am going to go with Brandon Ingram. Just the fact that he's probably on a better team than any of these guys, and playing with LeBron will help him. I think he averages close to 20 points this year, with LeBron on his team and them being a winning team. Kind of similar to my argument for LeBron for MVP. I have Ingram winning this just because they're a winning team and voters value winning. So I think we're gonna have Ingram winning the most improved player, but we'll see. Again, yeah. Last, I have Coach of the Year award, and I have my three guys here for winning Coach of the Year. My first guy is Quinn Snyder of the Utah Jazz. Kind of like I talked about with Gobert, I think Jazz have a strong year in the Western Conference. They're a good team, young team. They're only getting better. Quinn Snyder was in this conversation last year. I don't think he was a finalist, but he was up there, and he definitely deserves a lot of praise and recognition for what this Jazz team has been doing. His schemes are amazing. I think he's an amazing coach, and he definitely deserves this recognition as the Jazz are looking to make that leap into that upper tier of Western Conference teams. Next, I have Brad Stevens of the Boston Celtics. I thought he should have won it last year. This year, with all his players healthy, he's going to have a really hard time working out those rotations. They're a very, very deep team. Celtics, I think, best team in the East. I think they will go to the finals. And Brad Stevens running everything. His schemes, his defense, his rotations, everything about his coaching style is just amazing. And I think he'll find a way to make all these moving pieces of the Celtics work and fit together perfectly, give them a really great regular season, best record in the East. That's my prediction for the Celtics this year, and Brad Stevens will get the recognition for that. And lastly, I do have Steve Kerr here. I am a little bit of a Warriors homer, but like I mentioned before, I think they put a little bit more into this regular season than they have the past couple of years. End up with the best record in the Western Conference, and Steve Kerr gets recognized for the job he has to do starting 5 All-Stars and managing all their egos and their minutes and everything, working the offense together, integrating Boogie once he comes back from his injury. That's no easy task, and I think Steve Kerr will be able to do it well enough. He'll be able to do a good job with that, give the Warriors the best record in the West, and put himself as a finalist for Coach of the Year. So out of these three, I'm going to pick Brad Stevens as my Coach of the Year winner. Like I said before, Celtics are going to have a really good year. I think they're the best team in the Eastern Conference. Going to the finals, Brad Stevens will get the recognition for working out the rotations, working through everything, as he should. He's an amazing coach, and I think he definitely deserves the recognition for the job he's done with the Celtics and the job that I think he will do this year. So those are my predictions for the awards. We're just going to go over it. For MVP, I have LeBron James, Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, Rookie of the Year, Luka Doncic, Sixth Man of the Year, Lou Williams, Most Improved Player, Brandon Ingram, and Coach of the Year, Brad Stevens. I think those are actually pretty generic predictions. Not a lot of them are kind of, these outside of the box guys. A lot of my finalists were kind of like, where'd this guy come from? But my predictions for the winners are pretty normal. I'm kind of going safe on these. I don't really see too many surprises this upcoming year. The one that could totally just come, again, is Most Improved Player. That one's just by nature, it's tough to predict, so I really don't know what's going to happen there. Other than that, I feel really confident in my Coach of the Year prediction. I really do think Stevens is going to win it this year. I feel confident in my Rookie of the Year prediction. I think Doncic is the best rookie in this class. I feel pretty confident in my Defensive Player of the Year prediction as well. I think Gobert is going to go back-to-back here. As for MVP, it could be LeBron, could be Harden, could be Curry or KD. If the Pelicans are better than I think they are, Anthony Davis has a chance. Other than that, maybe Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard. I don't know. But right now I'm predicting LeBron. Sixth Man of the Year. I hope it's not Lou Will, but it probably is. So that's that. We're just going to go ahead and wrap it up here. And I'm just going to give a little bit of a side note here. Next week, the podcast will be up a day late. It won't come out on Sunday. It will come out Monday night instead. I'm going out of town, so I'm not going to be recording on Sunday. I'll be recording it on Monday night and putting it up then. So I'll probably put that out on Twitter as well, just for everybody, so that nobody wonders where I am. Out of my 35 followers or whatever. I don't know. Just trying to do this professionally. Anyway, that's going to be it for now. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week on Monday.